Okay, let's get going. My name's Brian Rusnak. I'm the city planner for City of North Liberty. And I accept zoning applications and annexation applications and construction plans and a whole variety of things. But in this case, we did have an applicant submit a rezoning request. The property was recently annexed into the City of North Liberty. Just went through that process and became formal shortly ago. So this is when property comes into the city, it's designated ID Interim Development, and so they are requesting a zone change to C3 higher intensity commercial district. Kind of started this new slide deck presentation, so we're just kind of testing it out with some of you. We tried it yesterday, seemed to do okay, but this just kind of gives you an idea of why we do these things. It's really to give the applicant an opportunity for, to hear feedback, answer questions, talk about what their vision is for the property. We really haven't gotten into the application from a consideration standpoint. The Planning Commission hasn't reviewed it. And so really this is just the very first step in the process. Planning Commission may consider this as early as October 4th. And then it moves on. Once they vote, they provide a recommendation, moves out to City Council, and they would consider it at 3 separate public meetings. Certainly value your public input, and we want you to voice your opinion. So to be part of the record, we do need to put things in writing, and an email will suffice, and I'll give you my email here shortly. And so we have a zoning map of all properties in the City of North Liberty. Each property has a zoning designation, and in the zoning code, it lists a certain amount of uses. In the ID Interim Development District, allows for a very limited number of uses like houses, parks, schools, agricultural uses, because that's predominantly what our ID property is used for. But individual property owners may, or interested parties may request to change the zoning to allow other uses or smaller lots. We don't expect this to be a problem. It usually isn't, but we ask for some decorum, listen respectfully without interrupting, criticize ideas, not individuals, and allow everyone a chance to speak. I have Nick Burgess with us, our communications director, just to help me along with some of these. Nick, are we doing the raise hand thing tonight?
I think we're good. Everybody should be able to unmute themselves. We've got a small group for this one, okay. So we're in a good place. Thanks.
Perfect. So I'll finish up my presentation. I'll turn it over to Joel and Ben, and they can provide a few words of kind of what their vision is for the property, what they intend to do, and then we'll open it up for questions. Here's my contact information. Here's my email. Here's my phone number. Please don't hesitate to call me, email me. If you're not comfortable speaking in this setting, give me a call. It really isn't a big deal to speak to me outside of this meeting or outside of Planning Commission meetings. And on this last slide, I kind of showed the zoning map. The rest of it's all in white down here because it's all in the county. You can kind of see that we need to be connected to city land in order to annex, and the high school up here made the connection, and then this was recently annexed into the city here, and then this was the other recent annexation and provided an aerial. So I think I'll leave these slides up and turn it over to Joel and Ben to give anything you want to say.
Sure. Ryan, thank you. Appreciate it. My name is Ben Logston. We purchased this property along with actually a group of us, Joel included, purchased this property last fall, and we've met with Ryan, the city of North Liberty, a few times. Quite honestly, we don't have a firm plan for what we're going to do here. We have talked to the folks to the north, which is the parcel. It's listed as 840 on the map that Ryan has up, and the primary reason we decided to go ahead and annex it now was because the folks who are looking to develop that parcel are interested in continuing their development to the south on our parcel, which 760 is really on the aerial map, and then obviously the ID, the hashed area is one large parcel. So at this time, we're annexing that piece of land. We do own the land to the south and some land to the southeast, but at this time, we're just doing the area hashed as ID on Ryan's map, and then our plan would be, if we can reach an agreement with the folks of the north, that they may purchase that and kind of extend that development that they're working on to the south onto what I call this hayfield, piece of land. So again, we've the C3 zoning kind of matches up with what they're doing to the north, and so that's the reason we picked that zoning. We really don't have any firm plans for land other than our first step in the process that we may sell a portion of it would be the rezoning or the annexation rezoning. So happy to answer any questions that anybody may have. And Joel, I don't know if you had anything you'd like to add.
Nope, I think you did a great job.
Ryan, is there anything I missed that you think I should elaborate on? Or Nick?
No, not for you. The only thing I'll probably worth mentioning is kind of the overall development process. Number one is annexation in the city. Number two typically is rezoning, and that rezoning step kind of gives developer or property owner some assurances that they can move to the next stage, which is development of subdivision plans and or construction documents, just to give them assurance that they have a level of comfort of spending that level of money. Then you have typically physical construction and then kind of certificate of occupancy or acceptance of subdivision improvements, depending on what those are. So we're really at the beginning stages of development. So there'd be quite a lot to go. Not saying that it couldn't happen in the spring or summer or something like that, but there's just still a lot to go. And sometimes from a city standpoint, being able to review construction plans over the winter is preferable, just so you can hit it with the construction season. If you got a question, just feel free. If you don't, like I said, you're more than welcome to call me or email me and express concerns, whatever this might be.
It's Kate Connell. I live at 2786. So that middle little square there adjacent to 760. My husband's also on the phone. We're not in the same place right now, so we'll have a few different thoughts here. I don't really have any questions. I do want to express some concern. I also want to, I know Ryan, you and I have talked already, but some of the thoughts here for us, we bought this land knowing that, we bought this house knowing that development was coming. Matt and I both work for the city of Iowa City and the city of Coralville, so we're really familiar with process, and we are also familiar with the way that land gets developed and why that's important. And we're not in disagreement with development, but obviously we have a vested interest in the livability of our area and our house. So we're a little surprised, I think, to see the 3C come through. The area that has that frontage on Dubuque didn't have any kind of disagreement, I guess, because there wasn't anybody that was adjacent, since all those homes, they went away. And so the concern we have with 3C is obviously that that's the highest that can be asked for, and to hear that there isn't a plan makes it more concerning to us, because normally something like this that is in that realm would have a little bit more of and Matt kind of knows what the code is for all of this stuff, but would have something more fleshed out. A couple of things for us: the area along Dubuque Street and that frontage area on North Liberty Road is obviously frontage. So understanding that, even though why we maybe think that 3C is still a little bit more aggressive than it needs to be, considering that the gas station isn't, that's kind of more, even a little bit less there. The area behind our home is not frontage. It's adjacent to residence, and it's residential. Those 4 houses there, there's not that many of us, and 2 of them are rentals. So you're only going to hear from, Matt and I, and then maybe our neighbor, Dave. I think he's on the call. But 3C is not intended to be next to people's homes. It's intended, I mean, planning is designed for us to stair step from residents' homes into, different areas where people live into more commercial use. And so I think that I can't think of an area that we have 3C that is adjacent in this way to single family homes. So we're really surprised that that's kind of that it's going all that way commercial. I think we thought that would be some mixed use for resident, and then it would stair step back out into commercial along that frontage. So we're nervous for our own livability as far as light pollution, noise pollution, our backyard where we have a garden. It's potential that like our backyard could be overshadowed by buildings that are tall enough that we don't see any sun to grow things. So we're not, like I said, I understand development. We knew that land was going to be for sale in this area. We're not against development in any way. And we also know that over the next few years, a lot of change is going to be happening there. But it's surprising to me that without a plan, that 3C is something that might be considered when really 2C would be a more happy medium. It seems like. I won't hog all the time. I have a couple more thoughts. I'll kind of let Matt and Dave speak if they wish, but I have a couple more thoughts I'll finish with if they don't kind of touch through some of that. But some of the things for us are the livability pieces, obviously, and then finding someplace in the middle, that the area behind those residents there that could be the least amount of the commercial area. So I don't know if that looks like retention ponds and basins and things like that. But I guess I really want to encourage city staff to be considering people that eventually will be annexed into North Liberty. And Ryan and I have talked about this. Like, we're excited to be North Libertarians, but we also want to make sure that city staff also has our best interest in mind and not just prioritizing. I know it's really sexy and attractive to have developers come and want to give them kind of what it is that they're wanting. But those pieces for livability are really important to us that are homeowners in that short little area.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate them. I would add that the C3 district is something new in the city. We had C3, but it was a different kind of animal. It was only one kind of area of the city, and it just, in my opinion, didn't work. So I changed it to a C3. So you're not going to see a lot of C3 in the city just because it's a newer type zoning district. So I just wanted to add that.
I guess I'll just jump back in because no one else is jumping. So from our understanding, C3 requires the least amount of buffer zone, which when it's a residence that's directly, or like a single family home, I guess is probably the better word. So that's obviously of concern to us to have a least amount of buffer. Our understanding is that the buffer can be like 20 feet or so, which if this is like the back of a Burger King, you can understand why that would be quite close. It also seems like from our research that C3 would allow apartment buildings, healthcare institutions, and like really heavy retail, which I haven't mentioned anything about the school, but it's generally people want to live near schools. They want homes that are near, that are walkable and bikeable to schools. That's part of the reason why we like that area, although there's not yet sidewalks to some of those places. So that is a little unusual as well, considering that there is an elementary school that's also coming in really close. The frontage piece as well, and Matt could probably talk more about some of this stuff, but the other thing with C3 is that we're talking about allowing buildings that could be 75 feet tall in that area, which I know that we don't have a plan, is what we're hearing from the folks that are joining that have bought this land. But the city is considering whether they give permission to allow that much height, or to be even allowable. And that's where we'd like to see a little bit of some guidance from the city to say, we maybe don't want that in this area, when we know all these residents are living up on Forever Green, and we know there's residents that do live on North Liberty Road still, even though there's just I don't know if I thought Matt maybe was going to jump in, but there's also some other things that seem like could be integrated that could assist with considering a C2, which would make it more livable. And I guess that's my point. That's what I'll write up when we send in the email as well. But things like traffic volume and noise and light pollution, it's might be hard to believe, but we have light pollution in our backyard from the Liberty High signs at night. And the school district lowered them. But when that school first opened, it was so bright in our backyards that it was this big glowing thing. And that is across a field, across Dubuque Street. So you can imagine being adjacent to really robust commercial space is going to be even more of an impact. And like I said, it comes from a place of privilege to even be able to be here and say that, we have a single family home that we're grateful to have as homeowners. And we don't think that that area shouldn't be developed. We knew that was coming, but we'd like to see it be done in a way that kind of matches what we generally see with urban planning, which is not single family homes next to 75 feet tall buildings, or even, big complexes and things like that. And the gas station is actually, I don't know, I didn't look up if it's C3 or C2, but it's a really good example of space. And I know there was a lot of fight for folks not wanting that then, but even that is like, it's not multiple stories, it's one story, it's stair steps out into multi-use or duplexes and condos, and then it continues to go back, and there's more and more, and then it goes into single families. So I think that's probably my piece. I'll kind of put a few more things into writing, but that way if Matt or Dave want to say anything, they certainly can. I think our biggest thing is just trying to emphasize for us the fact that the livability piece is really big there, and also just like asking the question, is that North Liberty is ideal to move towards that, or are we trying to honor some of those ideas of like moving into these more incrementally, and C2 just seems like an appropriate fit there, considering that there's houses there and there's already C3 next to the houses, which already seems it already seems like a concession that we have to take, which is fine on that frontage, but it just seems like the place in the middle is to not go all the way as high as we possibly can, knowing that there's not plans, and just knowing that that's adjacent to people's houses.
This is Ben again. I will just say that I don't again, we really don't have, I would tell you, firm plans for this. We don't really plan on anything that tall, just FYI, but I appreciate your comments, and certainly as we move along through the process with Ryan and the city, we'll look at your email, and we'll try to be sensitive to we obviously have to do what we think is best for our property. We'll certainly keep all those things in mind, and try to keep people informed as we move through the process.
Yeah, hi. This is David at 2778. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Sure. And thank you. Yeah, thanks, Kate. I do agree with pretty much everything she said with her concerns and comments and everything, with the height of buildings and the buffer zone and all that, of course. I guess I don't know, have one question. It'd probably go to Ryan. So North Liberty purchased these properties under discussion, correct?
No. Not correct.
No, not correct.
These are all privately owned.
Okay. Well, I guess the question would probably go to someone other than Ryan then. I was curious if there's any plan or consideration to purchase more of the properties along North Liberty, meaning the 4 properties that are sitting, behind the property under discussion.
Are you referring to the ones to the west of this parcel, or are you referring to the properties around into the east and southeast?
I guess it would be to the west. Yeah, the 4 properties here, 2770, mine, 2786. The 4 properties, you know, along the road here. I was just wondering if there's consideration to purchasing those also.
We really haven't thought about it. Not to say that we wouldn't consider it at some point, but we really haven't talked about it as a group. So certainly would consider anything, but didn't have any plans to do that at this time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess I screwed up my question a little bit. Yeah, because I thought maybe North Liberty purchased those property and then resold them or whatever. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, this is Matt Potts. I live at 2786. I guess one question as far as with this being a C3 and then hoping to merge with the property to the north, I'm guessing that like a PAD kind of site plan wasn't entertained so much. I guess that's something that I would or that we would probably maybe prefer with the stair stepping of different zoning types to stagger the density out. I'm guessing, or I guess I would like to see that probably be implemented just to see that when this would be going through that zoning or that PAD actually have a layout of kind of like more infrastructure as far as roadways, maybe that parcel that would be a C3 being partitioned off to the neighbor to the north, and then different C2 zoning or something like that to the for the rest of the property, if just so that height wasn't available in the future, especially with like a plan not in place currently. That just seems to open up the door that for the future.
Well, this is something, I mean, this is something I can talk to Ben and Joel about, but you can limit building height. Any conversations I have with them, I haven't been anything near 75 feet. You can limit building height through the rezoning ordinance, and so it's something we can talk about. PAD gets a little tough because it has to be a site plan that's appended to the zoning, and I don't argue with why it's a good thing. It just requires a lot more detail, and I'm not defending the request. This is their request, and they made it. That I think they're prepared to give at this time, but if you have a list of concerns that are like, hey, I'm concerned that a 75-foot building could be next to me, those are things that can be inserted into the rezoning ordinance that runs basically as long as that zoning is valid.
Okay, that's I think that is I guess I didn't realize that you could amend it for certain things like that.
Yeah, we can talk further about that outside this meeting. Like I said, this shouldn't be the only time you should feel the need that we should talk. We can talk about those things and what your concerns are, and I can go back to Ben and Joel and say, what do you think about this? And the most ideal situation is to have everybody say, yeah, we all agree, because we have no intention of doing something like that. I would also add, from the city's perspective, however it develops, going all the way over to the school parcel, we would like to see this whole property developed kind of in a planned fashion. So we're not quite sure where, we anticipate there'll be a road coming up to Dubuque Street. We're not quite sure where that would be. It takes cooperation from the other property owner. So there's a lot of balls in the air, so to speak.
Okay. I guess the final thing is just I'm just just like Kate, I'm not opposed to development at all. quite, kind of the opposite a little bit, but I just want to, in the best interest of everybody, have end up with an asset for the developers, and then the community at large, and then North Liberty. So that's what I'll end with.
And us. He forgot us too. So 4 ways, not just 3 ways.
Sure. So let's, Nick and I have a 5:30. We kind of stack these things up. It sounds like we're getting close to wrapping up, but I've got my contact information up here. Let's continue the conversation. We've got a couple of weeks till planning commission, which is still plenty of time to kind of sort through some issues. Does that sound like a plan?
That sounds good to me.
When do you need the correspondence by then, Ryan, to like have that included in their packet and stuff?
I would probably, to be honest, sooner than later, just so I can talk to Ben and Joel about specific, so they better understand all your concerns.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.